My name's Ashley Giles. I'm the advocate for the aging for Henrico County, and I'm so happy that you can be here today for our Caregiver Speaker Series. It's the first in our series, and today we're going to be talking about dementia one-on-one. I just want to give you a brief overview. I'm with Henrico County's Outreach and Engagement Office, and our vision is for Henrico to be a thriving community where everyone is thriving, and our mission is to enrich the lives of all those who live, work, and play in Henrico by engaging the community, providing education and resources, and promoting equitable access to opportunities. So we really appreciate our caregivers in Henrico. We know that you are the backbone of our community, and the work that you do does not go unnoticed. And I love this quote. I used it last year if you were here at our caregiver series too. There are only 4 kinds of people in this world: those who have been caregivers, those who are currently caregivers, those who will be caregivers, and those who will need caregivers. And that's by Rosalind Carter, former First Lady. Caregivers do a lot. This is from 2023, these facts and figures, so imagine how much they've changed. Virginia's had nearly 1 million family caregivers, nearly 1 billion hours of unpaid family care. The economic value per hour in 2023 was $15.51 per hour. So you know that's changed since 2023. And there's an economic value in Virginia of over $14.3 billion for the work that our caregivers do. So thank you for caring for your loved ones, for caring for our community members, and for being here tonight to learn more. I do want to introduce, first we have Mr. Darius Bradshaw in the back. He's with the SPAN Center. This is a great resource for caregivers. They provide a wonderful caregiver support service there. There are flyers that you all have been given for the SPAN Center, and please use Mr. Darius as a resource if you have questions along your caregiver journey. I do want to introduce Miss Rachel Lawson with the Alzheimer's Association. Rachel is the Senior Program Manager for the Alzheimer's Association, supporting the Greater Richmond Chapter. She has been with the Alzheimer's Association since July 2018 after her internship with the association from the spring of 2018. She holds a Bachelor's of Science in Health Promotions and a Master's of Science in Public Health, both from Lynchburg College. Prior to the Alzheimer's Association, she has experience in medical office administration and nonprofit health organizations. Rachel's always striving to bring education and awareness to those impacted by all forms of dementia through the services and support of the association. Thank you.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. I used to be a cheerleader, so my voice does get loud. If at any point you can't hear me, just tell me to turn it up. It's been a long day for the association, because I've been at multiple events and programs today. So this time of night, it may drift off, so just tell me to turn it up and I will. Thank you guys for taking the time to be here. I know it's a lot to ask if you are a caregiver to step away from those caregiving roles to be here. Maybe you came tonight to learn more information. Welcome. I hope most of all, anything that is shared tonight, that you can take one piece of information away with you. If you take more, I've succeeded beyond what I came to do. I have already put some resources on the table for you. All the resources on the table from the association, there's 3 different things there. We will go over tonight. The brochure there is going to be everything I talk about tonight and some more. And then our support service sheet that we'll talk about before the end, and then a flyer for an upcoming event that's right around the corner that we're excited about. So with that, the presentation tonight is Understanding Alzheimer's and Dementia. That's what our topic is. That's what we're going to be talking about. I like to call it the basics. Knowing and understanding what is this disease, and then the very basics of that disease to help lay that foundation of a better understanding of, if you hear these words, here's what you can expect. So there'll be several things that we touch on tonight. Going to talk about what is the difference. That's the most common question we often get asked. We will touch on the different stages of this disease as well throughout tonight. What is this disease in general when we hear the word Alzheimer's? So we'll talk about that. We'll take a look at the brain and see the difference between a healthy brain versus a brain that has Alzheimer's. And then I always end with the resources of the association. So a lot to cover tonight. I will keep on time. I promise I'll let you get out of here on time. So to get started, we're going to have several check your knowledge questions. It's okay for you to answer out loud. It's okay for you to think to yourself, and we'll go over the real answer. So your first question is, approximately how many Americans are currently living with Alzheimer's? Anybody want to shout out an answer?
Over 3 million.
I hear 3 million. I hear 8 million. I hear 11. It's 6. Key here is Alzheimer's, just Alzheimer's. And currently it is 6.9 million. However, every March our facts and figures get updated. So on March 25th, we will have a new update that comes out with all of the facts and figures. And it will not surprise me if we see this number go up from the 6.9 million. So with that, the next question is about how many Americans currently provide unpaid care for people living with Alzheimer's, and that's supposed to say in other dementias. I hear millions. The real answer here is over 11 million. When we talk about unpaid caregivers, that is caregivers who are freely giving of their time, not earning a single penny back for the services that they are providing. Most of the time, that's a family member, someone living within the house, so a spouse or a child. It can be family and friends that we ask to join in with us to support our loved one, but they are not earning a single penny. So I'm gonna, well, it's gonna work. So real quickly, I know that goes fairly fast there with some of those numbers thrown out there. There's two I always point out. The first one is 1 in 3 seniors will pass from some form of dementia. 1 in 3 means age over 85. That's what we classify as a senior. So we take the local funeral home. If they've had 3 deaths within the week, all over the age of 85, you can pretty much say statistics is going to tell us that at least one of those 3 has passed from some form of dementia. Can be a primary cause of death or a secondary cause of death, but it is a cause of death. It can be listed as a cause of death. The second one, and I'm not sure where it showed up in that video there, but the staggering one doesn't even come with a number to me. But there is a fact that we associate with Alzheimer's, and it is that if we take those that pass away from breast cancer and those that pass away from prostate cancer, and you combine that number together, there are still more folks passing away from Alzheimer's than those 2 top cancers alone. Just an eye-opener, because we still have a long way to go with research when we talk about this disease. Cancer space, they've come a long way. There's folks that can be in remission, be cured, and continue to live without that being their cause of death. But we still have a ways to go when we talk about Alzheimer's specifically. Again, those numbers are going to update the end of the month. If you're interested in seeing all of our facts and figures, everything's on our website at alz.org/facts. or you can just go to alz.org and type in facts and figures, and it'll pull it up for you. All right, so Alzheimer's and dementia. Another question here is, Alzheimer's is a normal part of the aging process. Oh, I already have some smart folks in here. It is not normal, completely not normal, for us to continue to age and develop dementia. However, we'll talk about what the greatest risk factor is in just a moment. People younger than the age of 65 can get Alzheimer's or any other dementia. True. It is true. Currently at the association, we are seeing that number continue to rise. Folks are getting diagnosed earlier. There are some dementias that tend to be more common in folks before the age of 65, but we are seeing this number go up. There is no age limit when we talk about dementia. It used to be a lot of folks would say that's grandma's disease or that's old timers. We can't say that anymore because there's younger folks getting that diagnosis. We've also heard it called hardening of the arteries. That was a common phase that used to be used back in the day. But just know that those younger than 65 can develop this disease. So the most common question I get asked every single day, I can guarantee I'm going to get asked this. If it doesn't come by way of email or face-to-face, I get asked this. Is there a difference between Alzheimer's and dementia? And this is the easiest way for us to talk about it. So if you take the umbrella, you put the word dementia on it. That is our umbrella term used to talk about memory loss that is severe enough to interfere with our daily life. So what we do each and every day. That's getting up, that's getting dressed, taking a bath, fixing a meal. All these different things that make up what we call a routine starts to become impacted when we talk about the word dementia. Now on the side here, what's supposed to be different color raindrops, you have Alzheimer's at the very top. That is the most common type of dementia. 60 to 80% of dementia diagnosis will be Alzheimer's. Then you've got vascular, Lewy body, frontal temporal. Those are also common ones that we hear more about in the community. If we were to name all these different types of dementia, we'd be here longer than the hour that we have. There are many different types of dementia. Some of them are so rare you will never hear much about them, very much like the word cancer. We can hear the word cancer, but oftentimes we'll say, well, what kind do you have? The same goes for dementia. There are different types and kinds that come along with the word dementia. At the bottom here, you see mixed dementia. Simply means somebody's living with more than one type of dementia, and yes, that is possible. We're starting to see that more from our neurology clinics as we receive physician referrals in, folks being diagnosed with this mixed dementia. And it can be a combination of any of the four listed or any other kind. There's no perfect two that tend to be together, but somebody can be diagnosed with more than one type of dementia. In that brochure that you have, it will break it down and give you like a couple sentences on these four common types in there. Now they do present themselves differently and do have different characteristics. Ashley, if you're looking for more, they're back here on the floor. So that can give you some more information there in the brochure. It is important when you're seeking a dementia diagnosis that you do take that next step to get a more accurate diagnosis because of the characteristics being different and then presenting themselves differently. So what is Alzheimer's? Alzheimer's is a brain disease. It does destroy the nerve cells within our brain, meaning we will lose different functions over time with this disease. It can impact your memory, which is often what we know and correlate with the word dementia is that memory goes. Thinking and behavior is also impacted. Thinking, the processes of how to complete a task, or the process of problem solving, that can become impacted as well. Behaviors, it's that word. We often see changes in mood, personality, with all of the different dementias. When we talk about Alzheimer's, it is a progressive, it is a fatal disease, and we'll talk about the stages a little bit later And currently we don't have that cure. We do have the medication that's out now to help slow the progression. We'll touch on that in a little bit as well. But do know that with any form of dementia, it is a progressive disease and things are going to change as it continues to progress. In the earlier stages, you're going to notice that memory loss is mild. We can still function like an independent person in those earlier stages. Might have some hiccups here and there when we're communicating with somebody, forgetting a word, or needing a reminder to do something, but we can still independently do what we normally would do. We're just seeing those hiccups here or there. As it progresses, we'll start to need more support for the person that is living with the disease. Eventually, we'll get to the point where we need that support around the clock and more assistance is needed to help meet the needs of that person. And so, real quickly, here is a picture that shows the differences. Now, this is an Alzheimer's brain specifically, but on the left there, you see a normal brain. Looks fine to us, right? Yes, it is split in half too. That's why you don't see the round wholeness. It is split. But when you look at the one on the left and you look at the one on the right, what's the biggest difference? It's what? Shrinking. Smaller. And there's more gaps. See how it goes in and there's more white behind it? That is what a brain would look like if it is impacted by Alzheimer's. It shrinks the brain, it kills the nerve cells, causing more of the white gaps there. And so it could potentially affect all functions. That's why we see them getting worse, needing more support for different tasks to be completed. All right, so risk factors. Well, before we do risk factors, I have another check your knowledge question. So, before we take a look at the risk factors, what is the greatest known risk factor for Alzheimer's? I'm hearing family history, I'm hearing age. Despite what some of us may think, it is age. That's why I made that comment a little bit ago about it's not normal for us to age and develop this disease. Age is your greatest risk factor. Once we hit the magical age of 65, we are at greater risk. When we hit the age of 85, we're at even more of a risk of developing this disease. However, let's go back to the younger onset. You can still be diagnosed before the age of 65. When we talk about family history, that is also a risk factor. But keep in mind, it's less than a 5% risk factor. We stand more of a chance getting older every day and having a brain than the family history piece of it. So, I hate to be the negative Nancy here, but everyone is getting older every single day. Some of us like to admit it, some of us maybe not. I won't admit which side I am. But we're all getting older, we all have a brain, we are all at some risk of developing this disease. That is why our job and our mission at the association is to bring this information and awareness out to let folks know about this disease and the services that we have. So more about risk factors. We talked about age being the greatest. Family history, again, yes, it is a risk factor. So if you come from a family where dementia, any form of dementia has run in your family, you are at greater risk than a family where it has not hit at all. If you come from a family where it has hit every single generation, as far back as you can go, you are at a greater risk than someone coming from a family where it hit 3 generations ago or it skipped a generation. If it's skipping generations and only hitting here or there, it still poses a risk factor, but it is not as great as if it hits every single generation. And then the last one there is genes and genetics. There is a gene specific to Alzheimer's. It is APOE-E4. APOE is all capitalized, -e, number 4. That is specific to Alzheimer's. There's other genes that can be related to other forms of dementia, and there's genetic testing that can be done to see if you have that biomarker. If you have that gene present, it does put you at a little bit more of a risk, but it does not guarantee that you are going to get this disease. I just recently had genetic testing done, not for Alzheimer's, for something else. And I was freaking out because I didn't know what to expect. I was like, great, I'm doing this. Now these results are going to come back, and then I'm going to be worried and fearful about what possibly could happen. However, my situation wasn't that case. Mine came back, all was fine, nothing to really worry about except family history. That was my risk factor, not the gene. But again, it wasn't for Alzheimer's or dementia, it was for something else. But there are genetic testings out there that you can have done. When we're talking about populations at risk, there are populations that are vulnerable, more vulnerable to this disease. African Americans are twice as likely to develop this disease. Hispanics and Latinos, 1.5 times likely to develop this disease. And ladies, I hate to tell you, but we are at greater risk than the men in this room. Women, there are more women currently living with Alzheimer's than men. And we don't know the exact reason why. They're leaning more towards, instead of living longer like they used to think, genetic makeup has a lot to do with that. But these two populations are more at risk. Does anybody want to guess why? It's a risk factor I didn't even talk about. That's part of it. Socioeconomics is part of it. Overall lifestyle. Overall lifestyle. When we talk about lifestyle, it is a risk factor. That's why we focus so much on brain health and healthy living and different things that we can do to better our health. Within the lifestyle, we have diabetes, so managing your diabetes. Heart disease is a big risk factor as well. So managing weight, blood pressure, blood sugar, all those know your numbers that are so important that they have to check before you even get back to the exam room. There's a reason why we keep up with those numbers, to maintain our overall health. These populations tend to have more complications when we talk about heart disease, more prone to heart disease, more prone to diabetes, which then puts them at a greater risk, along with the socioeconomic status of not being able to get nutritious meals or fruits, vegetables, the fresh foods, as well as access to care. Sometimes in these populations, it's harder to access that care for whatever reason, whether it's transportation, not being in a community where it's available, or insurance. Many different things play a role in that. All right, moving right along, we are going to move into the stages of the disease. This is also in that brochure. This very image comes straight out of that brochure. So when we're talking about the different stages of the disease, it says Alzheimer's, but it goes for all forms of dementia. We start at the very top there in the teal. That is asymptomatic. Simply means we're good. We have no cognitive changes taking place in our brain. As we get older, there are changes that do take place, normal part of aging, with changes in our abilities to do things. There's also some cognitive changes that we could experience as we continue to age. But again, if it's not severe enough to interfere with our daily life, it's not severe enough to be dementia. When we're starting to hear more about that gold one there, MCI, mild cognitive impairment, that is what we start to hear when we start noticing that there is cognitive loss taking place. We're not severe enough yet to interfere with our daily life, but there is some cognitive changes taking place that we will kind of like red flag and say, hey, we need to keep an eye on this, because if there are changes that do continue, it can progress into dementia, which is where we see those 3 purple boxes there. I like to say early, middle, and late. They use fancier words of mild, moderate, severe. So early or mild, that's the very early stages of this disease. Still functioning independently, still able to communicate, maybe see a little bit of changes in behaviors, but not often. The moderate or middle stage, that's where we spend the longest time on this journey with dementia, is in that moderate and middle stage. That's often where we're going to see the most changes take place, because now they're needing more support with different tasks that they used to be able to do. And then moderate, we still see family members taking care of their loved ones, sometimes bringing care into the home to assist with different tasks in that stage there. When we move to that severe stage, at that point, we need the around-the-clock care. Communication's very, very limited, maybe only basic words. If they're still forming a sentence, it's about 3 words and that's it. And they're needing more support and assistance. Normally, some point in the latter part of the middle stage is when you start seeing loved ones place their family member into a long-term care community to prepare for that around-the-clock care that may be needed. There are still folks who still keep their loved ones at home from beginning all the way to the end. So this isn't saying when you hit that severe stage, you must go into long-term. No, it's up to the family. So we have this continuum, and it shows us that it is a progression and that things will change throughout the different stages. In your brochure, there are bullet points for each of these stages for some notable changes that you may notice with your loved one. But please keep in mind, this is a guide, this is a tool. Every journey with dementia is a different journey. If I asked in this room who is a caregiver for someone living with dementia, and 3 hands went up, we're going to hear 3 different journeys of this disease. Yes, there will be some overlap. Yes, there'll be some similar situations, but everyone's going to progress at a different rate, and everyone's going to do different things in the different stages for things that change. It has to do with where this disease is in the brain at that given time. When we speak specifically of Alzheimer's, it's balls of plaque. So if the balls of plaque are in a certain part of the brain, those are the functions that are going to be impacted first before we see other parts be impacted. So just keep that in mind, a guide, a tool, we can progress at different rates. Average lifespan, textbook will tell us that it is 2 to 8 years on average. That's a textbook. But I have witnessed in my 6.5 years with the association, families that have lived much longer than that. I've seen someone live 16 years. I've seen someone live, bless them, for 21 years with this disease. Normally they'll say 20 is about the max. But that, again, changes based on the person. The longer they stay independent and functioning on their own, the longer they can live with this disease. And now with these new treatments out, we're providing more time with that as well. All right, a hot topic, and I will try to keep it as simple as I can for you guys. So here we go. And this isn't even updated, so I'll give you more information than what's provided here. This information is in your brochure as well, and I keep moving. I'm going to try to stand still. Here on the screen, you will see from 1996 to 2014, there are 5 medications on there, pill form medications. Most common we hear Aricept the most. You may notice some other names up there. If you or your loved one are taking any of these medications, don't stop. If they are working for you and you are working with your medical provider on these, please keep taking them. They help treat symptoms. What is that? Short-term memory, behavioral issues. So there's medication out there to help with sleep. Many different things that come along with this disease, there are medications to help treat them. They do work. They will continue to work until this disease does what it wants to do. If this disease progresses to another part of the brain, we may start to see our loved one have those warning signs come back up. Those behavioral changes are now rearing their ugly head, and we're like, we're on this medication. Why is this happening? The disease is progressing past the point of that threshold that medication has reached. So those are medications available. It was not until 2021 the first drug of any kind came out to help slow the progression of the disease. That was Aduhelm. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on Aduhelm because it has been pulled off the market. The reason why it was pulled off the market, we weren't given a clear answer, but I can tell you they weren't making this, right? If there's no profit coming in, a pharmaceutical organization is not going to continue to produce a drug.
Even though it's working.
Yes, even though it's working. No, do not apologize. It was working. Research showed us it was working. We have lots of evidence behind it. FDA would have never approved it if it really wasn't working. But it hit to Medicare. Medicare did not want to cover the cost. Someone 65 and older, we're taking that magical age, right? 65, you're at greater risk. 65 and older, you are on Medicare. If Medicare is not covering this drug, you most likely cannot afford it when it's in the thousands and thousands of dollars for a year. So they're not making profit because no one can afford it. They remove it from the market. So Aduhelm was available, no longer available on the market. 2023, Leqembi came out. Leqembi came through accelerated approval from the FDA, meaning they looked at it quick to get it approved. It did go through what we call the traditional approval in June of that year. It was officially approved traditionally around July 4th of 2023. These two medications and then the new drug that I'll talk about are IV drugs, meaning you have to go to an infusion center to receive them. Leqembi has to be received twice a month. So you have to make that commitment if you're able to go to receive it twice a month. Leqembi will slow the progression of this disease. It will not stop it, it will not cure it, but it will help slow the disease down to provide more time for you and your loved one to have together. The newest drug that just recently rolled out, you guys probably heard about it, it hit national news like crazy. I call it donanemab because that's a heck of a lot easier than that K word that they use, which is around Kinsla, something to that nature is how you pronounce it. Donanemab came out in 2024. It is the first drug of its kind that not only helps slow the progression of the disease, but it is starting to remove some of the plaque. So we've made an advancement with the latest drug of donanemab. You have to have the plaque in your brain to have donanemab. Donanemab is an IV drug as well, and it is received every 4 weeks. And so as these drugs have come out, we've been working with Medicare to help get them to cover the cost of the drugs. For Leqembi, they do cover the drug, but it does have to be with a physician that has a registry. So you got to make sure that you're seeing a physician that has that registry. I do know Leqembi is available in the Richmond area as well as donanemab. Donanemab is currently being administered from our big local health systems mainly, more so than the smaller neurologist offices. This right here is muddy water, right? We can ruffle feathers when we get to talking about medications. We can talk about the cost all day long and how we wish certain things were done differently. The point here is to say there is hope on the horizon when we talk about research, right? We've come a long way since 1996. There's still a long way to go because we want to see these numbers come down. We want to get that first survivor. We want to see a difference with this disease. Lots of information is available on our website specific to these medications. It does talk about it in your brochure, but I know that it does not mention these newer drugs in there, but you can find all that information on our website, probably more information than you want to know because all the Medicare information is out there as well. So at the Alzheimer's Association, this is our mission statement here. We are leading the way to advance Alzheimer's care, support, research, all of those things. What I do each and every day goes straight to this mission. What I'm doing right now goes straight to this mission. We believe in this mission that one day we will see a world without Alzheimer's disease, but all other dementias. So we do that because we are doing research. A lot of our focus goes on research, which I'll touch on in a moment. We wouldn't be where we are on that spectrum of medication if it wasn't for the research that we're doing. We also promote brain health. We talked about the healthy lifestyle. We have a whole program that is what it focuses on, is overall healthy lifestyle choices and healthy living. So we do have that available. And then we also provide quality care and support to all who are impacted as well as the community. We do that through all of the services, through our education programs, our care consultations, the support groups, all the other events that we do. So on the table with you, there is a sheet that says support for Virginians, I think is what it's labeled as. It is our support sheet. On the front are all of the resources that we have that we can provide in person to you. On the back are online tools that you can use from anywhere. First thing I will point out to you is on the front side of that page at the very top, you will see our helpline. 24/7, always available. No one goes untouched by our services at the association, and that helpline is always available to you. If you're wondering, do I talk to a robot? No. You talk to a real, live, human person. It can be 3 o'clock in the morning, it can be 8 o'clock at night, it can be 10 o'clock in the morning. A real person's going to answer that number. When you first call that number, it will be an automated thing to press 1 or 2 based on what you're calling for. 1 is a donation, 2 is support. So if you're calling with any questions or need any resources, you're going to hit that support line and be instantly connected to someone who can help you. They are master level clinicians. I tell folks they can do for you way more than I can do for you locally. I'm not a social worker. Some of these folks that answer these calls, they're social workers. They're physicians that have retired and now they're giving their time back to help the community with any concerns they may have. No question is off limits, no support need is off limits. They are always available. I am not. I do cut my phone off at night. I do pull away from my computer at night. So if ever you need anything, they are always available. In addition to that, I've touched on our local resources already about our education programs, our support groups. Community Resource Finder that is listed there, that is on the back of the sheet that you have because it is an online tool. It's about halfway down the page there. You can go to alz.org/CRF, or on that paper it will tell you communityresourcefinder.org. They take you to the same exact place. If you are looking for local resource, well, it doesn't even have to be local. If you're providing care for anyone, they can be out of state, local, across the state, it doesn't matter. That is all zip code based. It is made to save you from the dreaded Google search that can lead you down a rabbit hole and give you every negative thing that is out there. We do not control the resource finder. We sponsor it to make it available, but every agency that is out there has to put their own contact information out there and keep it up to date. When we have the resource finder, you can find education programs that we're doing on there. You can find all of our support groups out there. If you're looking for an elder law attorney, in-home care, long-term care, whatever resource you're looking for can be available and found there. It does default to a 25-mile radius, but you can change that and refine your search how you would like once you click the search button and get in there. When it pulls up, you get the name of the agency, the address, and a contact information. For programs and support groups, you get the location, the time, all that information, and then you get a description about what the event actually is. So great place to go and get resources. Again, it saves you from that dreaded Google search that sometimes can scare the mess out of you before you can even reach out for help. And then some more online tools down here in the bottom. We have the Alz Care. That's for caregivers. That's a caregiver center that's listed on the back page there. Alz Safety, if you're looking for safety in the home and you need like a checklist to help make sure you've caught everything that could possibly be a hazard to your loved one, that's a place for you. And the lovely topic of driving. It has its own website. Lots of information and resources out there because we know that's a common difficult conversation that we have to have with loved ones. Real quickly, Alz Connected, that is a community-based website, free to join, and bear with me when I compare it to this, and I'll explain why. This is the closest thing I can compare it to. It's kind of like Facebook, but we are not friending people. It is a discussion board. So just like you can put a post out on Facebook for all your friends to see, Alz Connected allows you to put a discussion out there or something that you're dealing with. So I've been out there and I've checked it out. There are caregivers out there ready to throw in the towel. There are those that have been diagnosed with this disease and they just don't know how to accept what they have been told. They drop that information out there. It only gives your first name and your last initial. Anyone else across the United States, if they come across that and they have dealt with it, you start to get encouragement. You start to get tips, strategies, things to try. So it builds that community of support there. Alz Navigator is a one-stop shop if you are somebody who would like to seek out next step care planning on your own before seeking out either somebody at the association or a professional. Many different topics are available there. Driving is one of them that's out there, legal and financial. So if you're trying to figure out what is that first step I need to take as a caregiver, you can go to All's Navigator, click on the topic that it is that you're looking for more information. You'll have to answer about 4 questions, and then you'll get a checklist of what to do next. Other than that, guys, there are ways to get involved. We cannot do what we do without our volunteers. Normally a volunteer is doing a program just like I'm doing tonight. We serve in Greater Richmond Chapter 24 counties in 5 cities. And if anybody was paying attention to that first slide that Ashley put up with my picture, you saw my service area and you were probably like, holy cow, this girl, she gets around town. Yes, I do, for work. 24 counties, 5 cities, and then I have an additional 5 counties out in the Piedmont area that I support as well. So wide range that we cover. Just in Greater Richmond, there's over 30,000 folks living with this disease. There are 2 staff members in the office, myself and 1 other person. We rely heavily on our volunteers to help support. All of our support groups are run by trained volunteers through the association. Many different ways to get involved, not just in programs, but also on the other side of things. So nonprofit, all of our services are free. We do fundraising events year round. Our walk, you've probably heard about it. The Richmond Walk is November the 8th. So Saturday, November the 8th, strongly encourage folks to get involved, join a team, create a team, walk in memory, honor, support of a loved one. If you have no one to walk for, you can always walk in support of the association. That's our biggest fundraiser. Without that, our services wouldn't be free. The longest day is coming up in June. We have a lot of folks that do creative activities to help raise money for that, and anything goes. If it makes money or brings money in, we can do it for the longest day. A lot of restaurants will support us in this, so a percentage will come back to us. We have folks that get competitive and do competitions, golf tournaments, bridge tournaments, pickleball tournaments, you name it, they can create a tournament out of it, and it makes money. So that is the longest day, a way for you to get creative. AIM is our advocacy program. I talked about Medicare not covering the cost of the drugs. Back when Leqembi first came out, we took a large busload of folks up to Washington, D.C., and we went to Medicare, to their building that they're in, and we had a healthy conversation from the grounds with a 54-year-old man living with the disease leading the conversation of, I want more time with my family. I can't have access to these drugs if you don't cover the cost of these drugs. Because of that, and our advocates that joined in with that, we were able to get through to Medicare. Got a long ways to go, but we were able to have a conversation with them. Our advocates are the voice in the community. They work with our elected officials, meaning you're willing to go by the office and just drop off a flyer of an upcoming event. Or you're willing to go by the office and say, here's a reminder of the services that the association provides, because the people that you serve in the community, they need your support with this disease. Lots of different ways to get involved in AIM. You can go to alzimpact.org for more information to get involved there. And then, I promise, this is it. Trial match. I talked about research earlier and how we have a long way to go. Trial match is the way for you to get involved in research if you are interested. The very last thing listed on the back of that support sheet is trial match. It is completely free for someone to fill out a profile to be put into the database. So when a new study comes along, if you meet the criteria that they are looking for, you will receive a packet of information about the entire research study. Then it's up to you to decide, do I want to get involved or not? Not every study we do is drug-based. A lot of what we do is the healthy living lifestyle changes. Recently, there was a study done about processed foods. So for a certain amount of years, these folks committed to be a part of this study. There was 3 groups, one who never touched processed, one who touched it on occasion, and then those who ate it all the time. The purpose of this study was to watch over these years of the study, was there any changes in the brain between these groups of folks? At the end of the study, it showed that those that ate it regularly were 28% more likely to develop dementia than those that never touched it. That's just an example of one of the studies that was done at the association. Again, completely free to get involved. They are always looking for healthy folks, folks living with any form of dementia. They're also looking for those of those vulnerable populations. And ladies, yes, they're always looking for women to get involved, to get more information specific to this disease. It used to be we knew nothing about this disease until somebody passed away, and that has changed. And research is only going to keep changing the outlook of the risk factors, knowing more about this disease, of course with the drug studies and things like that. I will say, based off of research, we just got an update last week. There are a lot of research studies getting ready to roll out from the association being completed. We have a lot there. There's going to be studies coming out on the medications, newer medications that will advance the treatment. Also, another big change that's getting ready to come out is the diagnostic testing. How do we get diagnosed with this? Blood tests, eye exams, things like that are a heck of a lot easier than what we currently have with these assessments and then the brain imaging scans. So guys, I leave you with saying there is hope on the horizon with this disease. Lots of changes on the way. If you want to keep up with us, you can sign up for our e-newsletter straight from our website. You would get it weekly. It comes out on Wednesday. It is a local newsletter, so you get the latest in research as well as upcoming events in your community. I do have my cards with me if you need them. Most of all, if you're a caregiver in this room, let me extend a huge thank you to you. I never take for granted when I stand up in front of a room that there's probably a caregiver in this space. What you do is an unsung hero in my eyes. Please reach out for help. We are here to support you, help you along the way. Those living with the disease, we are here to help you and support you all along the way. All you have to do is take the first step and either call that 800 number or call me directly, and then we'll help you along the way. Thank you guys so much for your time. I will hang around for questions. The only reason why I'm not asking them out loud is because of some of the stuff that we have going on in here. But we can definitely ask, you're welcome to come up and ask your questions. I'm yours until the last person leaves, guys, because I'm headed home after this. So thank you guys for your time and your attention.
Thank you so much for being here with us this evening. We do have some surveys if you're able to help us out and give us some feedback on this event. We have several other caregiver speaker series events coming up. So each Tuesday we're having something this month. Our next Tuesday is going to be with Lisa Isbell with Senior Care Authorities, and we're going to be talking about how to support our loved ones as they age and their abilities change. So that'll be a really interesting topic. And then the Tuesday after that, we're having someone from Greater Community Hospice come in and talk about the differences between hospice care and palliative care, which are really important. Sometimes we don't know those differences, so that'll be a great conversation as well. And then this series is concluded with a caregiver and senior expo at the rec center right across the street on March 25th from 10 to 1. We'll have over 50 vendors that provide services in our community represented, so they'll be able to give us some information and resources at that event. If you're able to do your QR code with your phone for the survey, we would appreciate it. If not, we have some hard copy surveys for you all to complete. Thank you so much for being here tonight.